Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. We're going to debut a new segment today. This new segment is called Why News. And I call it that because it's news that you see when you are leaving a movie theater yesterday, and the first thought that pops into your head is, why? Just why? And if the title gives it away, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the announcement that the Madame Xanadu and John Constantine shows. I'm not calling him John Constantine. I don't give a fuck how Alan Moore pronounces it. It's not. We don't talk about the Emperor Constantine. It is the Emperor Constantine. It is. Fuck. Shut. Okay. Whatever. But those two shows that were in development at HBO Max under Bad Robot, under the First Look development deal with J.J. Abrams, has been canceled completely. So now we are at a resounding 0 for 5 on projects out of this development deal at Warner Brothers with Bad Robot. Because the original show was the original show was canceled. Cape Crusaders being shopped around. Both of these shows were canceled, and I'm fairly certain that there will be no movement on the Superman movie with Ta-Nehisi Coates writing, which is a shame, because that is ripe for interesting ideas. Regardless, we are looking at a basically, blank development slate. And one of the first things announced as part of this, new thing they're doing is they're doing a sequel to the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves from the early 2000s. Now, if you're hearing this and thinking to yourself, didn't that movie bomb? Wasn't that movie bad? Didn't everyone hate that movie? The answer would be yes to all three of those questions. And that was my first thought too when I saw this. And my question is, why? It seems like, and the thing is too, it's like, of all people to bring back to direct, it is an odd choice considering his filmography since has gotten so robust that Francis Lawrence would come back to direct this movie. It just seems kind of odd to me, if I'm being honest. It seems like the kind of thing that, you do because you need something, but I don't think Warner Brothers is really in the situation where they necessarily need to do that. There is plenty of original, there's plenty of ground to cover with a potential other movie, new movie. You don't need to go back to that same well. There's nothing that's we need to do this. So why are they doing this? Why? The only thing I think of is that they're banking on nostalgia and hoping nostalgia will carry them through on this. But I don't think there's particular nostalgia for the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. Maybe they're hoping to bank on Keanu Reeves. And I think that even the Keanu Reeves banking isn't quite what it was back when, John Wick first came out. Back in 2015, 2016 when John Wick first came out. And then shortly after with Cyberpunk, the announcement he was being Cyberpunk and all of that. I don't think we quite have that. Where it's and now even The Matrix was announced as part of that. But I think even that the Keanu-assance, if we're going to call it that, there was the McConaughey-assance, I think even that isn't quite what it was 3 years ago. So the idea of making a new movie with Keanu Reeves as John Constantine, it just kind of seems short-sighted. Because on top of that, the other thing that I don't think Warner Brothers has quite wrapped their heads around yet, that what made Marvel successful and what they were doing, Marvel was a kingmaker. That's not to say Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a name when he got hired. That wasn't to say that Chris Evans didn't have some name recognition when they signed him to Captain America. Mark Ruffalo, not quite the biggest name on the planet. I couldn't tell you what Scarlett Johansson was in prior to Iron Man 2, 12 years ago. It's not and it's think about Sam Jackson. He was in a supporting role. And when you look at these other characters, Elizabeth Olsen, Benedict Cumberbatch had a name recognition, but he was a TV actor. who had a small role doing motion capture for voice in The Hobbit. I mean, he didn't have a robot, and he played Khan, and it's like, that was a big get for them, but he's still not a huge name until Doctor Strange, I don't think. Because even Star Trek is a very niche franchise. And here's where you have this kind of weird thing, where it's like, you're going to have to pay Keanu a lot of money. And Keanu is in his 50s now. I think he's in his 50s now. The man doesn't age. I think he's in his 50s. And I'm not knocking Keanu. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be able to do that. But I'm saying that if you're trying to create a 10-year plan, this 10-year plan cannot be focused around what you have going on right now. Like, they're contradictory statements to say we have a 10-year plan while also being like, well, we have Shazam, which is kind of sort of tangentially related to the Snyderverse. When we have Aquaman, which is directly related, we have The Flash, which is directly related, but that's a story cul-de-sac in and of itself because they're not going to bring back The Flash after this movie. There's, who else is there? Like, what else is coming up? Like Black Adam, which is a spin-off of Shazam that's going to tie back into Shazam. But again, Shazam's tangentially related. There's Joker 2, and Joker 2 is its own little universe and isn't going to tie back to anything. And then there's the Batman, which also is in a different universe. And then also there's still Wonder Woman 3 in development. I don't think that's been formally canceled yet. And looking broadly at all of these things that are happening, I don't know where a Constantine movie fits into a 10-year plan that is, and let's be honest with ourselves, this 10-year plan is going to culminate, if it doesn't culminate in Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's a misfire. I think that's where you have to go at this point, especially considering how fractured the fan base is. What better way to do it than to do Crisis on Infinite Earths? I don't understand what the thought process is behind this, unless they're trying to, like, continue that and be like, well, Keanu's going to have a role going forward and they're going to, after this movie, relocate Constantine into a supporting role, which I could see because it worked on the CW when they did that, but it just doesn't mesh with the rest of the 10-year plan. That is a huge part of it, and if you're going to sit here and be like, well, we don't know what this is going to do for the universe as a whole, if I can't look at the thing as a layman on the outside and be like, I see where this is going, I think you fucked up a little bit, because I'm not involved with Warner Brothers in any way. I do not have any, creative ties to them. I don't understand what the thought process is here. And I can't quite put my finger on where this goes and what this is designed to do. And that's a problem. Like, you can look at every step along Marvel and be like, okay, they're building to Infinity War. But I don't see where it goes from here. But we'll wrap up there for this week's edition of Why News. I guess we'll call it Why News whenever we do this from now on. And I have a feeling that more often than not, this segment will be focused on Warner Brothers doing something stupid. But until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.